Good afternoon, all. I'm Councillor Marcus Cravis. I'm chair for today. It's the first time I've ever chaired one of these, so bear with me. Not necessarily my favourite job. What I'll do is I'll just get everyone go in the room and ask everyone to introduce yourself, starting on my left.
First, apologies for my lateness. It's one of those bad days for me. But I'm Councillor Diego Rodriguez, representing Bridgewater East Water.
I'm Brian Smedley. I'm the councillor for where you're sat now, Bridgewater South.
And to my, I was going to go to my right first, actually, but I'll go to my right first.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Taylor, committee manager.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Nigel Osborne, legal advisor to the panel.
Good afternoon, Richard Thanks, licensing officer.
I'm Jackie Lewis, I'm the applicant.
And Sean Battles here.
Hi, I'm Mia Taylor.
Hi, I'm Martin Taylor. I'm Mia's father. I'm here as support.
Okay. Thank you. So, if you see from the, we'll explain the hearing will basically follow the procedures listed in the agenda. What we do is these take place as normal round table discussion as well. Obviously, you come through me as a chair. I don't want people shouting at each other throughout the meeting, but you will have the opportunity to ask questions of each other, the licensing officer, etc., as so will we. So I've got an order of who will speak. I'll just go through that quickly now. So you'll prepare a report from Mr. Noakes, then you'll be able to question him, and then you'll be able to talk. Then there'll be yourself talking. We've also got opportunity for you to talk as well. What I may do is and I don't know if everybody's okay, is I may move the applicant's the application to speak forward, if that's okay with everybody. So after you speak first, then you speak. Just seems more sensible way of doing it. So and we'll go through it. I'll go through it as we go through. So I'll now move to the fifth part of the agenda, so to speak. And the first item is any apologies for absence.
No, Chair.
Any declarations of interest from councillors? No? No? Okay. So I will now, so we're here to the application for the Village Cafe and Bakery of Bath Road in Cheddar. That's for the record, that's BS 27-3NA. And this is, we're having the same because we've had objections. And so I will now pass over straight away to Richard Noakes, who will present his report.
Okay, thank you, Chair. As Chair said, the subcommittee this afternoon is to consider an application for a new premises licence under the Licensing Act 2003. Therefore, the duty of the committee to determine the application with a view to promoting the licensing objectives, which are prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance, and protection of children from harm. The objections in this case refer to crime and disorder, public nuisance, and public safety licensing objectives, specifically noise. In terms of implications, financial and risk, no financial implications, no significant risks, no legal implications, HR, equalities, community safety, climate change and sustainability, health and safety, health, well-being implications. Let me just give you a little bit of background. On the 1st of October 2023, premises licence application was served on Somerset Council by Mr. Sean Battles and Jacqueline Lewis, trading as CA SGF Hotels Limited, Bath Arms Cottage, Union Street, Cheddar, BS 273NA. The application seeks authorisation for the following licensable activities to take place: sale and supply of alcohol from 1200 hours to 2200 hours Monday to Saturday, and 1200 hours to 1800 hours on Sunday, and that would be on the premises only. Recorded music from 1200 hours to 2200 hours Monday to Saturday, and 1200 hours to 1800 hours Sunday, internal and external. However, it's worth noting that the applicant states in the application that during lighter summer days, the outside courtyard of some 20 covers will be utilised, but no external music will be played to respect their neighbours. A copy of the premises licence application is at Appendix A. The premises licence application requests that the internal area of the premises, the bakery, the cafe and outside courtyard space are licensed for the sale and supply of alcohol and for recorded music. An objection to the application for a premises licence has been received within the permitted timeframe from Miss Estelle Cobb, Miss Mia Taylor and Miss N Shah, which are also attached as appendices to this report. The police have agreed a set of conditions, which is attached at Appendix E. There is a plan of the premises at Appendix F and a map of the surrounding area at Appendix G.
Thank you, Rich. I will now go to move to any questions for the licensing officer. I will go first of all to my fellow councillors. I didn't introduce myself, by the way. I'm Marcus Cravis. I'm a division member down in West Somerset in for the Dance Division. But any questions from councillors? Yes. Doug, I'm going to ask a question first of all. If I can, before I come to yourselves to ask questions, any with regards to the police, two questions I suppose. With regards to the police, did they initially object, or did they work on the conditions first, etc.? And have we had any representation from EHO?
I'm afraid Simon already read the report, but in terms of police, I believe that they met with the applicants and agreed a set of conditions.
Thank you. Okay, any questions from Mia or your father to the licensing officer? Any questions?
No, I've not seen a copy from the police. Is it possible that I could either say that or somebody could summarise what their conditions were?
We can provide you a copy. Those conditions were mainly around incidents, was around Challenge 25 policy, production policies, instant registers for incidents outside or inside the premises, and also induction and training records being kept for serving alcohol, and any refusals and things like that, and also the safeguarding policy and training records for that staff. I think Steve was going to try and find a copy of that.
There's Appendix E.
It's Appendix E.
Yes. Whilst he's left with that, just a question for Richard. Richard, can you just clarify for me, please? I think I heard initially that the application was just for internal, and then afterwards you mentioned that they said there was word about using all of the area, including the courtyard. So just clarify that.
Of course. So let me just look back at the application. Yeah, the application itself requests that the internal area of the premises, the bakery and the cafe and the outside courtyard spaces are licensed for the sale and supply of alcohol and for recorded music.
Again, the part that you mentioned at the beginning was, which is clarification. Maybe better.
Yeah, no, it's actually a clarification that is worth raising, which is there is some anomaly because the recorded music has been applied for internal and external, but the applicant does state that in the application that during light summer days the outside courtyard will be used for service of alcohol presumably, but no external music will be played.
Do you want me to clarify that?
Yeah, that would be
The license area is internal and courtyard, and then the music sits next to each other, which is why we said nothing else. That was up. Thank you.
Thank you for that. No, right. So if there's no other questions, the licensing officer at this stage, what we'll do is I'll move over to Sean and Jacqueline. Is it Jacqueline or Jackie?
It's Jackie.
Sean and Jackie as the applicants to present your application, make any comments.
I think you've got everything down there really documented. We arrived 10 years ago in Cheddar and the village was broken. It was two shops, a charity and an insurance place. So we've worked really hard to keep the village alive really. There were then 4 shops were closing, the cafe, the bar was next to it, and then 2 other shops in the village, which is where we sort of stepped in really. And to make it a viable situation, we need additional revenue streams as well as the cafe. So we're looking at being able to sell craft ale, etc., like we stated, for the campsites in the summer. I mean, the initial idea was Friday and Saturday night for the Picky Teas concerts with charcuterie and fine cheeses. And that's where we're at really with it. We're trying to keep the village alive. My only concern is, with all respect, Mary, if you got another job and you moved on somewhere else, there's a legacy from this decision when you may not even be in the area. You know, it's just I met with the landlord, he has no objection. That's where we're at really.
Jackie, have you got anything you'd like to add? Okay. Any questions to the applicants from my fellow councillors? Yeah.
Just for clarity then, because I don't know I've got it right in my head yet. In terms of the recorded music, internal and external, you might have to repeat yourself, but no external music to be played. Can you just repeat again how that works?
Well, we have the property opposite the Bath Arms, and for 10 years it's just been a policy, no outside music. You know, there's a level of management of our customers we're quite zero tolerant with really. We get a nice customer base, so we do everything to make that work. It's the same for the cafe. That makes sense.
Yeah, well, that does make sense, but I'm just trying to get my head around
I believe
the license for internal and external recorded music.
I believe that's how it was presented on the application, which is why I then put a note in about we're not going to be using it outside, because I think they sweep with each other because an area.
You never intended to have music outside, did we?
But I think the licensed area is marked on the plan, so the liquor and the music overlap within that area, which is why I stated it won't be outside. That makes sense? Cool.
Right,
Don't have a question.
let's go to my right first.
Yeah. When you said you've been in the village for 10 years, have you been running this premises for 10 years or the Bath Arms for 10 years and this is a new venture? So has this been trading just as a cafe without a license, or is this going to be a completely new venture?
It's a cafe and bakery without a license. To make it viable, it needs a few additional revenue streams, and one of those is to sell it to the summer, hampers and craft ales and such like, and also potentially on a Friday and Saturday and Thursday maybe. We just need the option to be able to make it viable, sustainable, which is where our license can do. It gives our. I'll give you the backstory. There's an Italian in the Gorge and a cocktail bar is opened opposite. They've got a nice synergy, and we've lost quite a bit of business to that environment. So we're trying to keep the viability of the village and then having something that our guests can go to, which create out as well. I think it's where the scenario goes.
So you've actually, it's just take your mic off then.
I was just going to say that we opened it in July, the cafe, and the bakery in August. It had been shut, the cafe had been shut for a year before that, and was just empty. The bakery had only been shut a matter of weeks, but that's how it started. But we've been at Bath Arms for 10 years.
Any questions from yourselves to the applicants?
I don't think so. I think Sean answered the previous question.
That's one more question. Just one more question. Do you see this running as the alcohol side of it in tandem with food, or do you see it being alcohol being sold standalone, i.e. sort of pub style?
Only with food.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions here. Yeah, when you say they're only with food, but of course the license won't stop you serving. Yeah, it could soon become a wine bar, couldn't it? If you want, if so be. So that or just turn your mic off because
Oh,
otherwise
sorry.
it's only for the recording on online. Because if they need to be able to hear me, and I do get told that I don't speak loud enough anyway. So yeah, so of course once that license is in place, the conditions of the license. I mean, obviously you've got your operating schedule there, and everything else, but there's no actual conditions on that license to stop you from doing that.
The back note to that is our residents from the hotel may wish to take a cocktail before dinner and then come back to us to stop them going into the gorge potentially. So it creates the revenue stream I was talking about.
Couple of other questions. You got anything else you want to ask? You look like you did before I come in.
Yeah, the only reason is I was going to basically agree with what you just said. Once the license is approved, obviously, it could be just on its own. Sean's just mentioned cocktails, which he had mentioned before. And I can imagine, people just going and having a cocktail. If you have a cocktail, you may not have a meal with that. And also on the same stream, really, the application at first mentioned just for weekends. But again, we've just now heard possibly Thursdays and Fridays as well. But one of the questions that Mia was going to say was if the application was for weekends only, in the wording, why was actually it applied for the whole week? So I think was one of Mia's concerns, was that what it was actually written wasn't actually how it was going to end up being. I think just to say, myself and Mia are regular customers of the Black Farms. We have been since I think they both took over, and what they do there is fantastic. But I suppose I'm running into a little bit of what would come in what we would say, but the concern is, or the misunderstanding is, why can not? It's literally just across the road. So why can not what they're proposing to do there be done at the Bath Arms, where everything runs very smoothly, and it's not all. So can it not just do what they're supposed to do there rather than underneath Mia?
Okay. I wasn't sure whether that was a question to them or you started into your presentation.
I think I did start to go a bit sideways, so apologies.
So we'll take it first as a question, and then we'll come back to you, and you can say what you want to say.
There's a period of time during the summer when the Bath Arms is full. There's no space at all, which is there, and it's about making sure the business is sustainable. We don't know this day and age with the way business is, that we want to keep that village alive. And these are additional revenue streams. And we run a very safe business. The police officer said, I've done my investigations, pristine clear.
Okay, thanks for that. So I haven't got any questions as such yet, because I'd rather get to you. What I will say is, I'll make sure I'm not going to rush this hearing, so there will be, we won't be just like, this is your chance. We'll take it aside, make sure we get it right, because as you said, it's a chance to get it right from the start. So over to you for your presentation, or what you'd like to say to us.
Thank you. So as I said earlier, Mia's we've been regular customers of Bath Arms, and we're happy with the way they run that. Mia's lived in the flats, which is above the cafe, for 4 years.
The layout of my flat is above, so there's the cafe and the bakery. All of my flat runs directly above all of that. So wherever there would be any noise there, it would all come up into my flat. There's no escape from it.
So I think that the number one concern with Mia is noise. Currently, she can hear what goes on in the cafe, and she has no objections to that, because obviously she realises it's a business and it needs to run. But her concern is if that noise level was increased with music, and in particular into the late evening. And with alcohol, which obviously can sometimes contribute to people's noise levels. And that's her main concern, especially if it was to fit out to the tables out front for the cafe. I know you're not going to, I believe, use the front, but certainly the tables out the back. It's an old building, the walls are not that thick and resistant to sound, so you can hear quite a lot of noise. There's a flat that some of the managers have used, and when it was rented out to Airbnb before, I think Jackie and Sean took it over, and they played music in the flat. You could hear it. So it's the noise levels and the disruption to Mia's working life that I think she's concerned about. She works from home and works in the evening sometimes, and is concerned about that disturbance. I think in Mia's letter, she did say she's not objecting to the application as per se. She's happy if the conditions could be somewhat restricted. Yes.
So in my letter, I did say that I was happy for the sale of alcohol to go on until 4 p.m, which is the closing time now for cafe and bakery. And I'm also happy for them to sell like sealed bottles of beer, wine, etc. Because I understand that comes along with the kind of business that they want to have. But it's just really having it later into the evening that I think would affect my life and my neighbours.
I'm going to offer the chance for questions. I will go to the councillors first, then. If councillors, I'll try and keep that in order. So I'll go to Diego. Right.
You think it would make a noticeable difference those couple of hours you're talking about there?
Until 10 o'clock at night.
Well, yeah, and 4 o'clock would you mention as well?
So currently it closes at 4. Obviously the proposal is then for it to continue from 4 till 10 o'clock. I'm sure that would be a considerable difference. Certainly, as I say, if you involve alcohol as well and music, the noise levels, there's no doubt that the noise levels will increase.
Any questions on my right? Nigel? No. We still, Richard? No. I'll go over to Sean for any questions to the object.
This is a difficult one because our operations manager lives in the flat that was mentioned. And certainly past 10 o'clock he's recorded to go back in on you argue with boyfriend. There's clearly a lot of noise goes on anyway. And I didn't want to bring that up, but it's kind of, I guess it's relevant, you know, going down this road.
I would, yeah, if we can. I mean, because one of the questions I was going to ask was, if I can before, just say, one of the questions, I was going to ask was evidence of noise and historic, have you got any record of noise, etc., etc. That's my question for you.
I didn't realise I would need to bring evidence for it, so I don't have any, unfortunately.
So I was just going to say, obviously, I think Sean just highlights the fact that the soundproofing there is incredibly poor, which was our major concern. Mia did make a complaint to the previous owners of the cafe when there was noise in the flat from somebody who was renting it as Airbnb.
Lost track of who I was on to. So it was just said that. Any other questions apart from coming from me? It's my opportunity to question yourselves. So anybody else want to question me? Or any questions? No.
I don't have a question. I just want to make a point to you. We are here to license the sale of alcohol and use of amplified music, we are not here to authorise whether it's been run as a cafe or it's opening and closing times. So if the application was refused, for example, that wouldn't stop them having a cafe that ran till 10 o'clock at night. So when you're talking about concerns about noise, that can happen anyway, whether this application was granted or not. So you do need to be mindful of that fact. We only have power to, or they only have power to legislate over sale of alcohol, sale and consumption of alcohol, and
Completely understand. Yeah.
Any other questions? I have another question if I can to Sean and Jackie. Obviously the main thing here seems to be potential of nuisance and noise. With regard to, and I've noticed in the application you've said about not having music outside and everything else. What about with regard to any other noise mitigation measures? Because the scenario here is you can see the scenario is suddenly you end up with the A show involved. Suddenly you end up with measurements and readings being taken, etc. And then someone makes a decision. Obviously, as applicants, I suppose the last thing you want running a business to have a noise abatement notice against us or as against you, or as back here in 6 months' time reviewing a license because there's been lots of noise and things. So I just wondered, I couldn't actually see anything about measuring noise, any noise other than noise mitigation apart from not being outside, etc. So I wondered if you had any plans for monitoring noise levels and sound levels, particularly as you've got a flat upstairs you've got access to.
I guess you don't know the background on us really. We've had a property for 10 years. The noise never goes above conversation. That's how we operate. And they'll within that environment. The police haven't been once in 10 years. That's how we operate. We're just going to know guide them away of that. And there's a promise in terms of what we do. There wouldn't be. We don't operate that way. We run a very quiet environment, and we deserve the customers we get.
If I can just come back, because I think I say this, I can just come back, but if need be, you'd be capable of monitoring that noise, is what the question I'm asking.
Yes.
If I can, as I said, this takes place at a round table discussion. You've got another question you want to ask, I'm more than happy to take it. I'd like to get everything out in the open, but keep it amiable at the same time, please.
And I'd just like to come back to that. And again, I've no complaints with the Bath Arms. For you councillors and people who may not be aware of the area, the Bath Arms is a detached building. The only other people above it are hotel residents. This is a completely different scenario. We've got a building with somebody living above it. It's not detached. It's not separate. The noise levels to be conversation only. Well, obviously, as soon as you add music in, it's no longer conversation only.
Okay. Any other questions? Nigel would like to come back.
Yeah, to the applicant. I mean, I'm not here to make the decision. I'm just to support the councillors. But if they are concerned that music is a big issue in this matter, is it fatal to your application if music was excluded?
I think there's a low level ambience that creates an environment. Now, if that's pitched at a certain level and kept with a noise meter at a certain level, that's absolutely as a condition acceptable.
And if I can, just as a back to that, if it was a noise meter, that level would have to be set at a certain level. How would that be decided?
Okay, look, the decision would be set at a certain amount, but technology exists now, and as we have with TVs, hotel standard TVs don't go above a certain level. The technology's there.
I know, I was not worried about the technology, I'm more sure someone's got to set their level to the technology. That's
I can't answer that.
okay. I'm going to take this as the last one, as much as what I just said earlier.
Sorry, can I just ask a question to Sean? I appreciate what you just said about the music. being an ambience. Did you apply for music for the cafe when you opened it as a cafe, or was that?
It's currently in the
Or the capital separate BPL.
Okay, but when you opened it, you didn't, so you didn't see that. So it is, what I'm wondering is whether you see this as a different scenario to what it is during the day.
So we opened the cafe, we then stepped in the cafe, sat down in the summer, no problem. We came to the winter and you realise that you need a little bit of background. That's where it came from. And setting limits, I'm happy to do that. So it's just, you know, experiences. Yeah.
Can I just say, it is music that would obviously could cause disturbance, but it is also the effect of alcohol on people's voices and how loud they are. It is quite different to how people talk when they haven't had something to drink. And especially if there's like large crowds of people, you will be able to hear it up above in the flat. I'm sure of that.
Okay, thank you. That I'm going to now. I think we've probably got all the comments and questions in that we have, unless you look like you're about to add something else. So you're more than welcome. I'd rather get it right now.
I just wanted to say that there's only about 30 covers in the cafe, and with the sort of customer that we'll be attracting with the offer, you know, it's not going to be 15 pints and start shouting. That's not the sort of customer that's going to be coming in. And at the end of the day, maximum of 30 people that you can get in there. So it won't get out of control.
Final one.
I just wanted, my neighbour has asked me to also say to everybody that she's a recovering alcoholic. She's asked me to say this on her behalf. And she has said that it would be a hindrance to her to have people, especially in the courtyard, which is that where her door is there, or the courtyard, and just have all the people around her drinking alcohol. She told me to put that in.
That's a point you've made. Yeah, good.
Without wanting to prolong, Chair, just an observation really. And I have no interest in this, but I've got a couple of restaurants myself. One of which is in a very old building with residential above. That happens to be residential for the owners of that restaurant. So currently my sister resides there. When I've been there of an evening, when we are obviously with music, food, people talking, upstairs, we can hear a lot of the sound downstairs. And it's just because the old building, perhaps the soundproofing is not very good. And that to me is acceptable because it's our building, our family lives upstairs, and that's why you make that sacrifice. So I'm just not, and because I don't know this building, I don't know how it's built or what have you with your one. I have that in my mind, that from my personal experience, I know that's an issue for me, but without knowing how that's built and how badly that affects, I'm just not sure that the mitigation perhaps is, I feel comfortable enough with the mitigation I've had so far to be able to make the person upstairs feel confident enough. I'm not making a decision, but I just feel that in my mind.
Just so you're aware, we've put a suspended ceiling, a wooden ceiling for noise absorption as well. There's extra protection with a 100 mil gap as well, which stops the sound wave bounce. We've looked into this.
Okay. I think we've probably got everything we want. What we will do is now let everybody have a final summing up, so to speak. I'm not quite like a court of law, but it sometimes feels like that. So, but let's say you're allowed a summing up. I'm assuming that, Richard, you have got nothing to add at this stage.
Just to confirm, Chair, that there were no objections from the EH team. I'll just check that. Apologies, it's not in the report.
Right, so we'll go over as in order we did before. We'll let you have your little less say, I suppose.
I guess the caveat on all of this is that potentially Mia could move to get a different job, and this is about long-term sustainability for the village and business. Thank you.
Yeah. Or...
I will say I don't have any intention of moving anytime soon. But I mean, I don't understand the need for the business to thrive completely, and that's why I'm willing to accept conditions, which I put in my letter. But I just think it's really important to try not to disturb the residents of Myrtle House, which is the building that me and my neighbours live in. I just think that's a really important thing, that we can just have a peaceful, quiet kind of life.
Okay, well, I think you've both put your case across really well. We will now retire to our little room we have through there to make a decision. I suspect that decision will be made today. If not, it will, you'll be notified in a certain period that I can't quite remember what that's going to be. 5 working days. Thank you very much for that. And we'll try and be as short as we can, but we'll try not to keep you waiting too long, as I know we kept you waiting slightly, earlier slightly. Okay, thank you very much. I have to declare adjourned. Right, thank you for waiting. We've had a discussion, come up with a decision. I'm going to read the decision since I've got my glasses on, and bear with me, I'm not the best reader in the world. So the subcommittee has considered the representations from all parties. In considering the application, subcommittee is mindful of the fact the applicant has agreed conditions with the police. As identified by Lord Justice Tolson in the Hope and Glory case, licence and decisions often involve weighing a variety of competing considerations: the demand for licensed establishments, the economic benefit to the proprietor and the locality by drawing in visitors and stimulating demand, the effect on law and order, the impact on lives and those who live and work in the vicinity, and so on. The panel recognises these competing demands and has given due consideration to them reaching its decision. It is apparent there is no objection to the licensing principle, that the terms of the licences are concerned to those objections. Some objectors question the need for the premises and the issue of parking. However, these are not issues that fall within the remit of the licensing subcommittee. It is a duty of the licensing authority to consider each application on its merits, irrespective of the needs or demands on the licensed premises in the locality. The applicant has made it clear, as was stated in their application, that there was to be no music played outside on the premises, and that only background music was to be played inside the premises. The application is primarily to serve alcohol available. The application is primarily for alcohol to be available to complement food and not as an alternative pub. The applicant can and has already agreed to use the outside area for seating, and there's no reason to believe that will be any increased disturbance from that area should the alcohol be served with food. The hours requested are not excessive and less than average pub. The hours requested are the maximum permitted and unlikely to be utilised all the year round. The applicant has also accepted the conditions proposed by the police, which further strengthen and enhance those proposals already identified in the operating schedule. There is no objection from environmental health in relation to those noise concerns. However, the subcommittee recognises the potential for increased noise nuisance is a concern for their objectors. Accordingly, it's a decision of the subcommittee to grant the premises licence to the Village Cafe Bakery, Bath Road, Cheddar, Somerset, on the terms requested, together with the submitted operating schedule and the conditions agreed with the police. In order to further promote the licensing objectives, the following additional conditions will be included: no recorded music to be played in the courtyard. And secondly, at least once a week between the hours of 1800 hours and 2200 hours, so 6 p.m. to 10 p.m, to monitor and record the internal sound levels by way of a decibel meter. Such records will be retained for 12 months and to be made available to the council licensing officers on demand. And at that point, I can close the hearing. Thank you. And thank you for your attendance. And thank you for your questions, your presentations, and the way we've conducted the hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.